Hello, everyone. Today we have a very wonderful, beautiful, superb guest right from Australia. He's my mentor as well, and I'm a big fan of his. And I'm sure everybody knows about him, but just for the sake of some people who don't know yet about Mr. John Shearer, about Sir John Shearer, I would request Sir John Shearer to introduce himself, please, sir.
I'm an Australian. I'm not sure I'm beautiful, but thank you, Abbas. I'm
You
an
have a
Australian.
beautiful soul, though. You have a beautiful soul, though. Everybody is beautiful.
Everyone has a beautiful soul. There's no doubt about that. I'm an Australian mindfulness master, and I'm also a peer support specialist. And my purpose is teaching mindfulness and helping people find their true self. So that's what I'm all about, Abbas. And thank you for being you and wanting to make a difference with your broadcasts and helping people with, especially with their mental health. So thank you. So I'd like to talk about mindfulness because this is what I teach. And right now, be mindful, pause, connect. That's the basis for all my teaching. So write it down, write it on your mirror, write it on a sticky note to remind yourself. Be mindful, pause, connect. And now I'll just explain that. We use be mindful as a key thought anytime we notice our mind being unhelpful, being negative, being in the past, being in the future, or just being somewhere else where but not with our body. So when we notice this, and mindfulness is all about noticing and being aware of what our mind is doing. So when we notice our mind being unhelpful or negative, we use the instruction from our heart, be mindful. So from our heart, we tell our mind, be mindful. And then we allow that to trigger a pause. And it only takes a few seconds to pause our mind. And in that pause, we connect. And we connect in three ways. We connect with where we are. Take a look around now. Everything you look at started with a thought. So we connect using our five senses: hearing, sight, touch, taste, smell. We connect with where we are. We connect with who we're with full presence. Like right now, I'm with Abba, and he is fully present with me when I'm speaking, and when he's speaking, I'm fully present with him, and we have a connection, and we feel it, even over the internet, all the way from Australia to Pakistan. Is amazing. So we connect with who we're with full presence, not thinking about what to say next, not having any agenda, or not thinking what someone should do. No, nothing. Just be fully present. It's the greatest gift you can give your loved ones, your full presence. And most importantly, we connect with source energy, the universe, God, Allah, whatever you like to call it. Connect with it. Form a relationship with it. When we pray, we should pause our minds to receive. And that way we can have a conversation with our source energy, with God, the universe, Allah. And when we start doing this, all divine wisdom and intelligence becomes available for us. It comes out of that silence we create in our mind. So that's the practice. Very simple, deceptively simple. Just because it's simple doesn't mean it's easy, because our minds are like radio stations and thoughts all day long, 24/7. blah, 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 our minds creating thoughts. And that's what our minds are for, to create thoughts. But it's not necessarily good thoughts that our minds create. So we've got to start consciously taking notice of what thoughts are coming through and then choosing which ones to act on. And if they're unhelpful or negative, the sorts of thoughts we all have, oh, I can't do this. I'm not good enough. All those sorts of negative thoughts. When you notice them, don't do anything with them. Just notice them. And then that way, eventually, with practice, they will just flow. Your thoughts will just flow. Because when you realize that our thoughts are just that, thoughts, nothing more, nothing less, they're just thoughts, then there's no need to dwell on them. There's no need to act on them. There's no need to fight with them. And there's no need to avoid them with drugs or alcohol or anything, or working out or eating or working too hard. And these are all ways we use to avoid our thoughts, especially if we're having thoughts about some trauma in the past, something bad that happened years ago, and it keeps coming back. And we keep taking notice of it. Because when we buy into those sorts of unhelpful and negative thoughts and thoughts from the past, they can become real monsters. And people even suicide because of their thoughts. So we don't take any notice of those thoughts. When they show up, we say, hello, this is the old story again. I've heard this story many times. No, I'm going to go to gratitude. Okay? So when the unhelpful and negative thought shows up, be mindful, pause, connect, and then go to gratitude. Think of something you're grateful for. And that way, you will be training your mind from the negative to the positive, from the dark to the light, from the unhelpful to the helpful, and your life will become much better. So that's my simple teaching. And of course, there's a lot of different aspects to mindfulness. So what I'll do for Abbas and his followers, his listeners, people listening today, I'll send him a link to my book. And my book, Mindful Actions, it's called, and I've updated it actually and put it in PDF form so you can read it over the internet. And I've added to it actually, so it's even better than my book, and you can have that as a gift. So I put the ripple effect on the cover of my book because it is always my hope that the people who are touched by my ripple then create a ripple of their own. So you can use my book to learn mindfulness, to develop your own mindful practice. And then once you see the benefits in it, and you will see the benefits, it won't take too long and they'll start appearing. You'll start to see a lot of improvement in your life. Then when you fill yourself with love, and that's what we're doing here, fill yourself with love, and then it has to overflow into others. And then you'll develop a heart to make a difference and help others develop their mindful practice. And wouldn't it be wonderful if we could have a mindful world and everybody in a mindful state, being conscious, being caring, being kind, helping one another? Because we are all one. We are all one. No matter what color our skin, no matter what background we come from, we all have red blood. We are all one with spirit, one with life. So oneness is kind of my religion, if it is a religion, but it's not. It's a mindset, same as mindfulness. It's not a religion either. But all religions, you should be using mindfulness as a prayer method. So you can pray mindfully, connect with God, the universe, Allah, and then once we form that beautiful relationship with spirit, then everything changes. We become wiser, kinder, more helpful, and more loving. And this is what the world needs, especially right now. So, thank you, Abbas.
Sir, wow, wow, wow. Subhanallah, beautiful. Jazakallah. What a mind blowing explanation. I was just having, a journey, spiritual journey, and listening to your beautiful words from a beautiful soul. And I would not agree with you. In the beginning, you said you're not beautiful, although you look beautiful from outside, but we should be beautiful from inside. That's why I want to be
Insight.
beautiful from inside. That's why I have invited you to learn from you, as you have a beautiful experience, exposure around the world as well. Sir, actually, I pray 5 times a day. um, how can I put mindfulness in my prayers? Is it possible?
Well, powerful prayer is comes from the heart, and I know I'll just explain a little bit about my journey because in 1982 I died in a truck crash, and obviously I was revived, and I was all smashed up. I needed operations, but but worse than that was being diagnosed with mental illness, and I had 15 dark years. I call them dark years because I was blind to the truth. I didn't really know what was going on. So in 1982, I died and woke up in hospital sometime later. And then later that year, I was diagnosed with mental illness because I didn't handle it all at all well. I got depressed, and then I got manic. Then and then I had what mental professionals called psychosis, but it was really, I now know that it was really a spiritual emergency. And I had a lot of spiritual emergencies until I woke up to what was really happening to me. Yeah. So 15 dark years, years that I'm really thankful for now because it's helped make me who I am today. So if you're going through dark times, be thankful for them because it's helping you learn things and then you'll be able to step into your purpose and be who you truly are underneath it all, who you are in your spirit. Yeah, so 15 years to 1997. And an old friend, I got my miracle, I call it my miracle, when an old friend who I hadn't seen for nearly 20 years knocked on my door one day and told me his story. And that's why I love telling my story, because telling our stories helps, it inspires people. People realize they're not the only one. If he can do it, so can I. So he told me his story, and that led to my spiritual awakening. I woke up. I stepped from the dark into the light and started walking with spirit because we're never alone. We always have spirit with us, no matter what. Yeah, so that's a little bit about my journey, and it's just amazing. So I will encourage everybody, when they pray, do it with a silent mind and do it with the heart. And I started back in 1997, I started a 4 year, very intensive Bible study. But it makes no difference whether you study the Bible or the Quran. You will, when you study and read that book, you, God, Allah, will speak to you. You will receive messages. You will have aha moments and you will go, aha, I get it now. Okay. But the greatest thing I read out of that book, and it would apply for really any spiritual teaching, any book, any religious book. It doesn't matter which one. This will still happen for you as well. But the biggest message I got out of that book, besides Jesus' message of love, when he said, love yourself as your neighbor, or love your neighbor as yourself, that's the main message. And we should all be doing that. Everyone in the world should be doing that. But the other big message I got from that book was God reads hearts, not minds, hearts. So when you have on your heart to help others, teach others, love others, if that's your heart, then God, the universe, will start moving the furniture for you, and things will happen. And as long as you're living in awareness, mindful awareness, consciously doing things, consciously noticing everything in your day, rather than your mind taking you away somewhere else where you're not where your body is, bring your mind back to your body. Keep doing it. Be mindful, pause, connect. So when you're praying, be mindful of that God, Allah, is reading your heart. So if your heart is true and you're loving and caring and kind, then things will happen in your life, and they won't be coincidences. Things will happen. You'll meet the right person. You'll overhear a conversation. The phone will ring. You'll get a knock on the door. Things happen, and you won't miss those little things, which often turn into big things. So that's it. Pray 5 times a day, 10 times a day. Just quieten your mind and connect, and God will read what's on your heart, and that's what's important. Yeah. Thank you, Abbas.
Wow, beautiful, subhanallah. And sir, actually, some people just I want to talk something about corona. I know it's been a boring subject, but I'm really concerned, and so many people are concerned because it's a big confusion around the world. Some people say it will stay forever, some people say no, it will go after 1 year or like 8 months. So what do you say about the future? I mean, will corona end, or will it go forever?
Well, it's not concerning me, and the reason it's not concerning me is because the flu, without calling it a specific type of flu, has been around forever, and it's going to probably be around forever. So it's not concerning me. This will pass. It is a highly contagious flu, but it still is just a flu. So we shouldn't be running around in fear, because this is what the media wants. This is what the world wants. It wants us to be scared, to be in fear. But true faith is the absence of fear. I'll say that again. True faith is the absence of fear. Fear is the enemy. So we should have no fear. But of course, we should always take precautions, and people are learning from this, learning to wash their hands, learning to keep a safe distance, learn not to hug so much. If you don't know who you're hugging, if it's not someone in your family, maybe don't shake hands as much, because I believe this has always been an excellent way for the flu to spread. It always has been, and it's always killed a lot of people, the flu, and it will continue to do this, and it's doing it now. But we should not be scared, but take precautions. And we're all staying at home now. We are in Australia too, all around the world. Everyone's staying at home, and to stop the spread, and that's helping, and that's doing a good job. But I think while we're all staying at home right now, it's a good chance for us to have a good look at ourselves, to look in the mirror. And when you look in the mirror, look right into your eyes, because our eyes are windows to the soul, even your own soul. So have a good look at yourself and make sure that you love yourself. It's not always easy, but young people out there listening right now, learn to love yourself. Look into your eyes and say, I love you. I love you. I love you. And you will learn with a mindful practice, by pausing your mind often, connecting with God, the universe. It will come to you why you're here on this planet, and what you should be doing, and get on the right path. And it's not always easy, but always remember, be mindful, pause, connect.
Wow. So, sir, don't you think that this time Allah is not happy with us because, or we have been so cruel and rude to this Mother Earth, We have been creating pollution since long time. We have been treating poor people badly around the world long time, and we have been taking taking advantages of people who doesn't have power in majority around the world. Don't you think Allah, God, the creator of all creators, in whichever language we call him, whether in Arabic, English, Hebrew, Persian, Urdu, Hindi. But don't you think God is unhappy with us this time?
Well, what I do, Abbas, and I've been doing for many, many years, every morning I like to walk my little dogs and witness the sunrise because that's the best time of day as the sun's coming up. And every morning I connect, and usually I raise my hands and I give thanks, and I silence my mind as I say, "What are we doing today, soul?" SOL, and that for me is my source energy, the sun. Soul, SOL, is an ancient Roman word for the sun, and even the the ancient Egyptians they worshipped Ra, the sun god. So what if God was the sun? Anyhow, for me, that's my source energy, and it's also the source energy for the world as well. So let's use some empathy here. Let's put ourselves in the sun's shoes and look at the world from the sun's perspective. And the sun shines down on the world, and what does he see? What does the sun see on the world? Well, what he saw late last year was fire. The Amazon was on fire. Australia was on fire, and California was on fire. There was fires everywhere on the planet, and you wouldn't be happy if you were the sun, if you were God, Allah, whatever, would you? So here's fire, and they call the Amazon in South America, it's huge rainforests, and they were on fire, and they've never been on fire before. But they call the Amazon the lungs of the earth. That's what they're known as, the lungs of the earth. So perhaps there is something going on here. And maybe that's the response from our great creator. He's created this to attack our lungs, to teach us a lesson. The lesson, I'm sure, is to start looking after our planet. Stop clearing all the trees that produce oxygen. Stop. Start looking after the earth for our children. Please stop. This is the message I'm getting.
Wow, beautiful, sir, beautiful. If I was sun, I would have absolutely been annoyed and angry on all of you guys. Obviously, it was really, really fun and a very big and beautiful experience talking to you. The way you explained each and everything, wow. So, sir, uh, would you advise us something having so much experience? Can you give us some words of wisdom so that we or our youth can utilize your presence here and move on forward with a positive mindset?
I can share something with you about what is happening in the world now, and that is there's a new diagnosis, really. Well, it's always been around, personality disorder, and young people 18 to 25 years old are experiencing this mental disorder. I don't like diagnosis at all, but okay, it can be helpful. But they're experiencing this mental disorder because, well, you see young people and they sit around all on their phones, on their devices. Okay, this is the way they're communicating. And I'm talking 18 to 25-year-olds after they leave school, whatever. Then, of course, they get in relationships. And just like us when we were young, we get in relationships, we get out of relationships, we get heartbroken, And now what's happening is when people get out of relationships and they're feeling depressed, they're feeling down, their heart's broken, then they don't have the skills to talk with their friends. Those skills aren't there. So what they're doing now is isolating themselves and locking themselves in their bedrooms and being trapped with their own thoughts. And that's dangerous. You know, our own thoughts can be our worst enemy, can be very dangerous. And this is what is happening. So my advice for young people is develop, okay, use your phones to gain knowledge because knowledge is power. But there's an old saying, and it goes like this: uh, love is the skin of knowledge. As our knowledge grows, so does our love. And this is a very important message. So what I'm saying is, it's a matter of balance. Sure, use your phones to socially connect and by social media and what have you, because that is often more helpful than corporate media, because corporate media is all about fear mongering. But find balance and make sure you nurture your relationships with all your friends. Okay, connect with them, have conversations with them, put your phones away and talk and build your relationships. It's very important because we are going to have trying times, all of us. That's life. Things happen. So you've got to be prepared for it. And the best thing you can do is talk with your friends and seek help if you do happen to be heartbroken and feeling depressed. So that's my advice. And of course, practice mindfulness. Be mindful, pause, connect.
Beautiful, 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 awesome. Sir, on one hand, there are people like you who have such a beautiful and positive mindset. And on the other hand, there is this media, like metaphorically, let me. Uh, I was watching a movie, Joker. It's a very famous Hollywood movie, and I really love the performance of the main hero, main actor. But the concept of the movie was so cruel that I really enjoyed entire movie, but in the end the hero, the actor, kills her own mother. The mindset that we are giving to our youth, because obviously media has the impact on our subconsciousness, we always know that. So what do you think, what the role you are playing on one hand of being positive towards the world, towards the people like me, like everybody else, but on the other hand there is a powerful medium of movies. I'm not saying all movies are like that, so many beautiful movies are there as well we can take lessons from, but they are very less. I mean, all the movies, like I love Vin Diesel, but the thing, the youth is like, I'm 40 years old. If I will watch it, I will take it as an entertainment, a thrilling experience. But when my daughter watches it, or any kid watches it, they take it as an implementation because their mind grows with that. The kids don't have the intention to follow or copy the movie, but when they're so small, or they're teenager, they grow up with the mindset with which we are giving them. So what do you think, your work has not been so I mean, under pressure these days as compared to previous eras, because medium is so powerful which is promoting bad stuff more?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and what you're saying and what I'm thinking now is about parenting, and we really have a responsibility as parents is to nurture our children, of course, but also educate them, and from a young age, it's very important to be aware of what they're watching for one thing, because quite often they need an explanation. Because I worked for 10 years in juvenile justice and with youth that are locked up, some of our worst youth, but I always see the light in them. And what I saw in there was two styles from the people who worked with boys in custody. And one style was to see the light in those boys like me, and there's others too, and we work out of love. And the other style is this style, which is, you've been bad, I'm going to punish you, and I know which one works. So when we correct our children, it's really, really important that we give them an explanation. Why? Don't just go, don't do that. Okay? Give an explanation. Would you please not do that? And this is the reason why. Give them the reason why. And if they're watching something like The Joker, just speak to them. What did you think about that movie? How was the ending for you? What was the message in it for you? Encourage them to think, because there's lessons in all those things. That's for sure. And, the dark side and the light are very, very real. And this is when I had my spiritual awakening 23 years ago now. It's just a simple realization that there is a dark and a light. And your perspective on that, we all have a different perspective on that. But once you realize this truth, a basic truth, that there is a dark and there is a light, then everything makes sense. All through history, you see evidence of this dark and light, this spiritual game of chess, if you like, dark and light. It's like the dark pieces and the light pieces. And there's spiritual warfare going on. And, there's a lot of terrorism in the world, and and of course the media love reporting on terrorism, like people going into schools and start shooting people, for example. And then the media, without failure, will blame that on mental illness. Mental illness gets the blame, and this gives mental illness a bad name, and it's not good. So wouldn't it be good if the media can start reporting it as spiritual disorder, spiritual illness? You see how that puts a different perspective on it? Let's start reporting it how it is. Let's get truthful about things unseen, because we all know it's real, but we don't talk about it. And we really do need to be talking about it. Yeah. So that's my spin
It's
on it.
yeah, it's very beautiful take. Your view is very beautiful that while parenting, we should talk to them. We should communicate to our children, whether they see Joker or better or worse than that. If we talk to them, if we communicate with them, things will get better and we can nurture them better. Sir, or in any case, I mean, whether it's my children, whether it's my parents, whether it's my wife, I mean, anybody's husband or friends or relative, neighbors. Beautiful thing you have mentioned here, sir. Sir, I would like to take name of one of my favorites, Robin Williams. All his life, he has been making us smile, making us laugh, and whenever I feel bad, I like to watch his movie. But unfortunately, his end was different. I never expected, the world never expected that he will do a suicide. Why? What happened to his mind? Or he was such a beautiful soul. I really feel sorry. We need people like him. We need more people like him. Why he left us like that? It was a bad end. Why?
Well, he had trauma in his childhood, and people who get depressed are always, I will say, have trauma in their childhood. And this leads because it's all about thoughts. And we find ways to avoid our thoughts. And for Robin Williams, it was comedy. And he became very, very good at it. As you know, I love Robin Williams. He's one of the best ever. And he used comedy and making people happy because of his own sadness inside. And in the end, of course, it overcome him. We don't really know the truth. It wasn't reported, but maybe he was diagnosed with an illness or something. We don't really know. And then that prompted him also, because people see suicide sometimes as being weak, but I don't, because most often it's being strong. It's not being weak. We've got the wrong idea about that. Yeah. And of course, what happens with people who suicide, they run out of hope. They can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. They become hopeless and they don't see any other way. So they end it. And I had an experience beginning of last year, and a good friend of mine who used to come around and play chess, and he unfortunately heard voices. And I understand hearing voices because I've had a similar thing as part of my journey as well. But he heard voices, and they were really nasty sort of type voices. And for a long time, I was trying to help him and everything else, and he seemed to be going along all right. And one Friday night, he visited my home to play chess, and because we often did that, had a very brilliant mind. He was good to play chess with. But one Friday night, he called around, and he ended up sleeping the night, which he often did. And then next morning, my wife drove him home to his father's property where he was living, and and he seemed really happy altogether. He was in a really good place. And then next day, my wife drove him home in the morning, and that afternoon he went up into the top paddock and ended his life. And we had no idea. No one did. But it's easy looking back, and we're wise now, and it's made me wiser too. But he was in a good place because he had already made his decision to end his life. So then he went to his happy place. That made him happy because it solved all his problems. So it actually made him happy. And what he was doing was, and we didn't know, of course, but he was doing the rounds, visiting the people he loved and the people who were helping him and all that sort of a thing. And he was in a good place. So then it was a complete shock. Yeah. So, suicide is something that we really need to be talking about more, because that's the only way we're going to overcome the stigma around suicide and mental illness, is to tell our stories and talk about it, because it's important and we should be talking about it as well. Yeah.
Yeah, you're very right. So this is the thing. So you're right. It hasn't been diagnosed clearly or reported. There's a confusion is still there. But in around the world, we notice that whether in Pakistan, India, America, England, or Saudi or Emirat, Qatar, everywhere around the world, these days suicide ratio has been increased in our youth, whether girls or boys. Day by day it's increasing. And you have already answered the question that we should not think negative, we should think positive, we should have hope. And I also believe, like you said, that it is the role of parenting, proper parenting, that we should teach our children to have hope, to keep the faith. And what I understood from the talks you just did, Mr. John Shearer. So it was wonderful having you, and thank you so much for giving us your time. And I would love to request you again some other time, and I wish that you would come back again, sir.
Thank you, Abbas. And you keep doing what you're doing, because you're making a difference. You're helping the ripple effect by causing your ripple, and encourage everybody to tell their stories and cause a ripple. Everybody should be causing a ripple, and that way we can, you know, change the world. We can.
Yeah, you're very right. If we have positive people like you, and we need more people like you, we should respect people like you and take experience from you, so that we can lead a better future. And although I'm very scared and very nervous, because in the middle of the show, when I asked you regarding corona, you said it's going to be there forever. I mean, oh my god, I mean, oh my lord, oh Allah. subhanahu wa ta'ala. Please help us, God. Be happy with us, really. Forgive us for what we all have done unitedly to this, our Mother Earth. And I believe that uh, Allah will listen to us, and He will. Let's make a prayer, sir. If you don't mind, can you make a prayer for all of us, please, for a better future?
Yes, I think the world needs a collective prayer and talk to the great creator. It's called Bayami in Aboriginal culture here in Australia. Bayami is the great creator spirit. Great creator spirit, hear our prayer. Read our hearts. Our hearts are full of love for one another, full of love for our planet. Hear our prayer and work. Rise people up. Rise people up to spread the message of love and kindness and start looking after the planet. Help people be courageous and write letters to our politicians and leaders so that they're aware of what's on our hearts as well. So hear this, great creator spirit. Hear this. And we thank you and worship you. Thank you.